lied and used fake documents to obtain the interview with my mother, made lurid and false claims about the royal family, which played on her fears and fueled paranoia.
For years, the world has been fascinated by the remarkable life and enduring legacy of Princess Diana. Her compassion, elegance, and deep bond with the public earned her the title of the People's Princess. Yet behind the regal image was a devoted mother whose love for her children outweighed everything else. Now, after years hidden from view, a deeply personal letter from Diana to her eldest son, Prince William, has emerged, offering an intimate look at the heart of a mother who only wanted the best for her son. What truths did she leave behind? Join us as we explore the emotional revelations within Princess Diana's long-lost message and the tender secrets it shares. The story began quietly, almost unnoticed, in July 2004, when a series of handwritten letters appeared in the catalogue of a London auction house. There were no headlines, no fanfare, just a simple listing of correspondence penned by Diana herself. But these weren't ordinary notes. They offered rare, uncensored glimpses into her private world. One particular letter immediately caught attention. It spoke of William with warmth and vulnerability, revealing the depth of Diana's love for him. The auction was hosted by SS and featured Diana's correspondence with Violet Collison, a long-trusted housekeeper and confidant to the Spencer family. Violet had known Diana from her early days as a shy young girl, through her transformation into one of the most famous women in history. These letters chronicled that journey, not through carefully scripted palace statements, but through raw, heartfelt reflections. They captured her battles with royal expectations, the whirlwind of preparing for a globally televised wedding, and most poignantly, her joys and fears as a mother. One charming letter, dated July 8, 1981, just weeks before her wedding, radiated with youthful excitement. "Everyone's rushing about," Diana wrote lightheartedly, "but the bride's staying calm." That single line reflected the down-to-earth warmth that made her beloved across the world. But over time, the tone of her letters changed. They grew more serious, more reflective, as her life became more complex. Her playful optimism gave way to concern, frustration, and above all, unwavering love for her sons. What made these letters so powerful wasn't just what Diana wrote, but the emotion behind her words. They painted a portrait of a mother deeply attuned to her children's happiness and futures. While the world saw Diana in stage photographs and televised interviews, these handwritten notes allowed her real voice to shine through, gentle, thoughtful, and sincere. One touching letter, written on June 21, 1989, stood out in particular. Sent on Kensington Palace stationery, it was addressed to Sergeant George Plum of the Special Escort Group, thanking him for organising a motorbike show for William's 7th birthday. Her gratitude was genuine, writing, "It was so kind of you and your team to come today. The joy on the children's faces was priceless." Even more heartwarming, the letter wasn't signed by Diana alone. William and Harry had added their own scribbles in the margins. These small moments gave rare insight into a world far removed from palace protocols. For many, Diana's letters reignited conversations about her complex relationship with the royal family and her determination to raise her sons differently. While tradition often meant royal children were raised with distance and formality, Diana broke that mould. She insisted her sons have real-world experiences, taking them to theme parks, letting them eat fast food, and even riding public transport. These weren't publicity stunts. They were deliberate choices from a mother who wanted her sons to understand the lives of everyday people. Former Royal Protection Officer Ken Wolfe recalled how Diana would disguise herself to blend in with crowds during these outings. She believed that if her sons only knew privilege, they would grow up isolated from the real world. And while she welcomed public interest in moments like school drop-offs or family holidays, she also fiercely defended their right to privacy, negotiating with the palace to give the media limited access, while shielding her children from excessive scrutiny. Andrew Morton, in his revealing biography, Diana. Her true story described her battles with the press and her deep anxiety over the effect it could have on William and Harry. The letters uncovered years later were more than affectionate messages. They were records of her mission to protect, nurture, and guide her sons. By 2004, when the letters surfaced again, William had grown into a young man attending university. Yet the values Diana instilled in him continued to shape his character. Through her handwritten words, Diana's presence still lingered. Not in official speeches or stage ceremonies, but in personal reflections filled with motherly warmth. These notes reminded the world of what had been lost. Diana never saw her sons become husbands or fathers. She never witnessed the ways they would carry on her legacy. But her voice lived on, quietly, powerfully, through every sentence she penned. Her motherhood wasn't defined by traditional duty. It was defined by daily choices, some subtle, others rebellious, that revealed her heart. Diana made sure her sons knew the world outside of royal walls. She raised them not just to wear titles, but to embody empathy, resilience, and grace, and that is where her true legacy lives on. When Princess Diana gave birth to Prince William on June 23, 1982, her life changed instantly. At just 20 years old, she embraced motherhood with fierce commitment. She wasn't content to play a symbolic role, she wanted to be hands-on. Breaking with royal precedent, she breastfed William, chose his name herself, and insisted on raising him closely. When Prince Charles was scheduled to tour Australia shortly after William's birth, Diana refused to be separated from her baby and brought him along, defying royal norms. As William grew, Diana continued to rewrite the rulebook. She enrolled him in a local nursery school rather than hiring in palace tutors. Onlookers were stunned to see a princess doing school drop-offs like any other parent. It wasn't just about normalcy, it was about connection. Diana knew that empathy couldn't be taught from behind palace gates. She created moments of joy and humility, fast food lunches, public bus rides, spontaneous park visits, moments that grounded her children in a reality few royals ever touched. According to Ken Worf, Diana's outings were meticulously planned to avoid attention. Sometimes she even wore disguises, but behind every outing was a lesson about humanity, kindness, and awareness of others. Diana's goal was never to escape royalty, it was to humanize it for her children. And in doing so, she changed the monarchy from within. So was Diana just a royal icon? Or was she something even more powerful? A mother who dared to raise her sons not as princes, but as people. Her letters, her actions, and the lives of William and Harry today may be the answer. Princess Diana's commitment to compassion was more than just a public persona. It was something she deliberately passed down to her children. One of the most powerful examples of this came when she introduced Prince William to Centrepoint, a London-based charity supporting homeless youth. There he met teenagers without homes, families, or access to education. But for Diana, this wasn't just a charitable visit, it was a lesson. She wanted William to witness hardship firsthand and understand that his royal status came with a duty to serve those less fortunate. Through love, bold defiance of royal customs, and an unshakable devotion to her sons, Diana didn't just reshape royal parenting, she revolutionized it. So just how close was Diana to her children? Let's explore the unbreakable bond between Diana, William, and Harry. By the early 1990s, Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was deteriorating in full public view. Headlines swirled, speculation ran rampant, and palace life became increasingly turbulent. But through it all, Diana found her emotional anchor, her sons. She poured herself into their lives, seeking to shelter them from the chaos. Her parenting was intentional. She chose schools like Wetherby and Ludgrove not for prestige, but for their safe and nurturing environments. And she wasn't a distant royal parent. Diana regularly met with teachers, attended school events, and even wrote thank you notes to staff, always staying closely involved. When Charles and Diana formally separated in '92, co-parenting under a relentless spotlight became its own challenge. Yet Diana's devotion never wavered. Every sports day she cheered at, every note she wrote, reinforced her deep involvement in her sons' lives. Many of these handwritten notes have resurfaced in auctions over the years, physical proof of the kind of mother she was, present, attentive and loving. Then came Nantir in a now infamous BBC interview with Martin Bashir. Watched by over 22 million people, Diana stripped away the facade of royal perfection. She spoke candidly about mental health, betrayal, loneliness, and above all her hopes for William and Harry. She expressed a desire to raise them not as distant princes, but as kind, emotionally intelligent young men. It was a defining moment. A princess placing her children's humanity above tradition. Following the broadcast, Queen Elizabeth II pushed for the divorce to be finalised and Diana was devastated. According to her former butler Paul Burrell, she felt silenced and sidelined. But amid the political tension, her sons remained her greatest source of strength. After the divorce was finalised in August 1996, Diana lost the formal title of Her Royal Highness. It was a blow, not for reasons of status, but because it meant she'd technically be expected to curtsy to her own sons. When she shared this with William, the 14-year-old reportedly said, "Don't worry, Mummy, I'll give it back to you one day when I'm king." Though the palace never confirmed the story, it has become symbolic of their deep mutual love and respect. Freed from royal duties, Diana redirected her energy to causes she believed in: homelessness, HIV awareness, and the fight to eradicate landmines. Her role was no longer defined by the monarchy, but by her values. Yet even as she stepped out of the royal spotlight, her sons remained her focus. She organised her schedule around their school routines, attended parent-teacher meetings, and remained deeply present in their lives. Still, life after the palace came with a cost. No longer surrounded by formal security or a royal support system, Diana often felt vulnerable. In private letters, some later revealed by Paul Burrell, she expressed chilling concerns for her safety. One letter from October 1995 read, "This particular phase in my life is the most dangerous. My husband is planning an accident in my car, brake failure and serious head injury." While the letter's authenticity has been verified, its contents remain controversial. Whether her fears were warranted or not, they paint a harrowing picture of a woman who felt hunted, isolated, and exposed. Despite that, Diana's courage never wavered. In January 1997, she famously travelled to Angola with the Red Cross, walking through a recently cleared minefield into protective gear. The photo of her in that moment became one of the most iconic images of her life, proof of her bravery and deep belief in humanitarian work. In her final months, Diana doubled down on preparing her sons for the road ahead. She spoke to William about service, compassion, and leadership, not as privilege, but as responsibility. Friends recall her urging him, "Use your position to help those who have no voice." But tragically, Diana's future plans were cut short. On August 31st, 1997, Princess Diana died in a devastating car crash in Paris. The world watched in stunned silence as Prince William, just 15, and Prince Harry, only 12, walked behind their mother's coffin. Grief was etched across their young faces, but even in her absence, Diana's influence on her boys was unmistakable. Through handwritten letters, small acts of love, and bold choices, she gave her sons something the institution never could: empathy, perspective, and emotional strength. Diana's parenting wasn't about ceremony. It was about being there, speaking truthfully and loving fully. She was a revolutionary mother in a royal world. So what do you think about the emotional revelations in Princess Diana's letters to Prince William? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories that matter.